Yashodanandana Jaya Rajanaranjana
Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna. So today we're reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, text 39. I left a book somewhere. You see a gray book somewhere? Oh, here it is. Can I use this as a table?
Yeah.
Can I have a Gita? Mukam karoti vachalam, pangum langayate girim, yat kripatamaham bande, Shri Guru Dinatarinam, Paramananda Madhvam, Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Is everybody familiar with the Bhagavad Gita? Of course, right? Your parents have read it, your grandparents have read it. Maybe you have read it. Has everybody read the Gita at least once? Yes? Gita is amazing, right? Bhagavad Gita. I like to offer my obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who are just like desire trees, and are full of mercy and full of compassion for all the fallen conditioned souls. Vancha kalpadrubhyascha kripa sindhubhya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I'd like to offer my respects to all the devotees assembled here. I'm a novice in spiritual life compared to all of you. I'm much younger and much younger in material life and spiritual life. So we have to, I take the blessings of all the devotees. Amarnath Krishna Prabhu, first time I'm meeting you in your new body. Premchandra Prabhu, Rakesh Prabhu, and all the devotees that I mentioned. This is the Columbus Krishna House, if you're first time here. This place was brought in 1986, I believe. 84. This was made into, it looks like every other house on the street on 8th Avenue, but it's very special because all the activities that go on in this house, it may look like a house. When you look up temple, ISKCON Krishna House, you may be like, what is it? Is this a temple or something? Where's the gopurams? Where's the big things? But actually, the temple is not necessarily a big structure and like big facilities and all these things. Temple is where the whole building is used for the service of Krishna. So any other house on the street and any other building in Columbus, they use their house for many household things. Going to work, going to sleep, many things. But this special place about this Columbus Krishna House is that we use this facility given to us by Krishna to learn about Krishna. We don't use this place for business or sleeping or eating like a restaurant. I mean, one devotee came up to me one time, he said, one new person, he said, this is the best restaurant in Columbus disguised as a temple. Because the prasad is very good here. And then so you may get good prasad, this and that, but main thing that we do here is we try to re-establish our relationship with Krishna. That's why we come here, we look at the amazing Aarti ceremony, and then you can just look at Krishna. And where do you get facility in your labs or anything? Do you get facility to look at Krishna? No. So he's here every day, 365 days, from 5 a.m., basically 5 a.m. till 9 p.m. He's giving us darshan and allowing us to rekindle that relationship with him. Actually, once we get to this point, the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam and all the Shastras say is that we're all eternally servants of Krishna. Jivera Swarupa hoy Krishner Nitya Das. Jivera Tatashta Shakti Bheda Bhed Prakash. Jiver Swarup, the Swarup of the Jiva, is to be an eternal servant of Krishna. But we have forgotten this and we are using our energies in trying to be servant of matter, of the physical. But once we understand that we're inherently not physical beings, we're metaphysical beings of spiritual consequences, then we have to connect with the original spiritual source, and that is Krishna. And the only way you'll be happy, once we get to that point, the only way we'll be happy is to connect with Krishna. No matter how, if I make a sabji, anybody cooks here? Anybody cooks? You must cook in the campus. If I make a sabji, and if it's too salty, if I add more salt, will it solve the problem? No, it'll make it more salty. Same way, that's what we're doing. We're singing, oh, we have this problem of materialism. Let me try to enjoy more and add more matter into it. Maybe that'll fix it. Maybe to to make the fire, instead of like, if you have a fire in your house, you put water. What do you put? Gasoline. Will that ever bring the fire down, no matter how much gasoline you put? Same way, this is what we're trying to do. We're constantly trying to lord it over material nature, but inherently, when we make that shift from my consciousness to Krishna consciousness, then naturally, externally, you may be doing the same thing. You may be going to work. You don't have to become like a monk, shave your head like me. Not necessarily. If you want to, you're welcome. But But you don't have to do anything different. Same thing, but it's just a shift in consciousness. So that's the place in the Gita we're kind of getting into. Krishna is going to speak about the nature of us trying to enjoy this world. But what is the essence of this world? Krishna in first chapter, second chapter, now we're in the third chapter in his reading. And in the third chapter, Krishna is speaking about how performing one's actions. The third chapter is called Karma Yoga. And in the last section, which we're talking about, Arjuna is asking a very important question. He's asking, sometimes my intelligence says not to do something, but somehow I'm impelled to do it, like almost by force. Has anybody felt like that? Yes or yes? Yes, right? Sometimes your intelligence says to not do something, and then you're just forced into doing it. We know eating the Hershey's candy bar is not good for us, but we still eat it. We know not to eat the gallon of ice cream at midnight, but we do it. Why do we do these things? This is Arjuna's main question. Krishna explains in the 36th chapter, the 36th verse of this chapter, and we're right now on the 39th chapter. The 39th verse, sorry. 37th verse, he says, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material modes of passion and later transformed into wrath, which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. So that is 37. And now we're going to read 39. We have it up there?
Yeah.
The Sanskrit? Let's read them. Well, let's read the Sanskrit. It's very nice to always connect with Krishna's words. This is called Shabda Brahman. Shabda. Everybody says Shabda Brahman.
Shabda Brahman.
Shabda Brahman. Shabda means words, sound, and Brahman means the Supreme. So it is connecting with the Supreme through sound. This is what these verses of the Gita are. So let's read this. Avritam jnanametena
Avritam jnanametena
Jnanino nityavairina
Jnanino nityavairina
Kamarupena kaunteya
Kamarupena kaunteya
Dushpurena lanena cha
Dushpurena lanena cha
Avritam jnanametena
Avritam jnanametena
Jnanino nityavairina
Jnanino nityavairina
Kamarupena kaunteya
Kamarupena kaunteya
Dushpurena analena cha
Dushpurena lanena cha.
Anybody want to try repeating? That sounds good. You want to try?
Sure.
Yeah.
Abritam jana.
Jnana.
Can you know that I can read
The hymn.
actual
The hymn.
Hindi version.
Wow, he's advanced level.
Abritam jnanametena
Avritam jnanametena
Jnanino nityavairina
Jnanino nityavairina
Kamarupena kaunteya
Kamarupena kaunteya
Dushpurena lena cha
Dushpurena lanena cha.
Any ladies want to try?
Avritam jnanametena
Avritam jnanametena
Jnanino nityavairina
Jnanino nityavairina
Kamarupena kaunteya
Kamarupena kaunteya
Dushpurena nalena cha
Dushpurena lanena cha.
Just like how you want to know Hindi from Haji, I should just cover the screen. So let's repeat. Let's see what the Sanskrit means. If we don't, anybody speak Sanskrit here? No. Okay, me either. So let's see what each word means. Avritam,
Avritam
cover. Jnanam,
Jnanam
pure consciousness.
pure consciousness.
Etena,
Etena
by this.
by this.
Jnanina,
Jnanina
of the knower.
of the knower.
Nitya Vairina,
Nityavairina
by the eternal enemy.
by the internal enemy.
Kama Rupena,
Kamarupena
in the form of lust.
in the form of lust.
Kaunteya,
Kaunteya
O son of Kunti.
O son of Kunti.
Dushpurena,
Dushpurena
never to be satisfied.
never to be satisfied.
Analena,
Analena
by the fire.
by the fire.
Cha,
Cha
also.
also.
Translation. Thus, the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. Look, repeat after me. Thus the living entities,
Thus
Thus
the
the
wise
wise
living
thus the wise living entities,
Thus the wise living entity,
pure consciousness
pure consciousness,
becomes covered
become covered
by his eternal enemy
by his eternal enemy
in the form of lust,
in the form of lust,
which is never satisfied
which is never satisfied,
and which burns like fire.
which burns like fire.
Purport. It is said in the Manu Smriti that lust can not be satisfied by any amount of sense enjoyment, just as fire is never extinguished by a constant supply of fuel. In the material world, the center of all activities is sex, and thus this material world is called Maithunya Agara, or the shackles of sex life. In the ordinary prison house, criminals are kept within bars. Similarly, the criminals who are disobedient to the laws of the Lord are shackled by sex life. Advancement of material civilization on the basis of sense gratification means increasing the duration of the material existence of a living entity. Therefore, this lust is a symbol of ignorance by which the living entity is kept within the material world. While one enjoys sense gratification, it may be that there is some feeling of happiness, but actually, that so-called feeling of happiness is the ultimate enemy of the sense enjoyer. So Krishna is using some very choice words when he's describing he's giving the qualities of lust. And one of them he's saying is Nitya Vairina. It is the eternal enemy. And what you do to an enemy, you must defeat that enemy. So this enemy has always been there. It has always been in us, this form of lust. But we have been always been defeated by this enemy. And to make success on this human form of life means to conquer over this enemy. Krishna is speaking about the real enemy. We have many people that we think that are enemies, or maybe we think the government is our enemy, our boss is our enemy, the tax collector is our enemy, but these, Krishna is saying, our real enemy is actually not nobody except us, who is trying to enjoy this material world. Krishna, the word for lust in Sanskrit is called kama. It means desire for matter. And the opposite of kama is prema, which means true, unadulterated, pure love. Krishna is giving two qualities in this verse that is of lust. It is never satisfied, and it is an eternal enemy. Like how I give the example of people putting the fire out with fuel, diesel. There's a amazing quality in this world that Krishna expounds in the Gita. Yehi samsparsaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. He's saying that happiness in this world is pregnant. Pregnant with what? Pregnant with distress. So wherever there's happiness in this world, there will be naturally distress. I remember, I think somebody told me this, is that how do you make somebody who's just won the lottery and somebody who's having the worst day in his life? What is one sentence that you can make to bring them all into equilibrium? Anybody know? Everything is temporary. So the lottery winner will lose all his winnings, and the person who is in suffering and distress, they will also have better days. It's always dark before the sunlight, right? So this is natural in the material world, is that when we try to get happiness, Prahlad Maharaj says this in his prayers. We know Prahlad Maharaj from the pastime of Nrsingadev. We can see in a picture, I don't know if it's still there, there's a picture of Nrsingadev. It's the first open heart surgery in the world. Nrsingadev is clawing open the chest of this demon, to actually get rid of this amazing lust that this person has in his heart. Prahlad Maharaj says this amazing thing is that one who keeps desiring after happiness, distress only comes. But one who stops hankering for these things, he is the one who is happy. When we kind of start Krishna consciousness, I heard a lecture called Transform Your Life by Doing Nothing. How can you transform your life by doing nothing? It's like counterintuitive. Anybody have any guesses? Akarma. That means no action. It's true. But in one sense, when we have these desires of lust, kam, when they come, when the desire to enjoy over these comes, you try to not act upon those things. You try, it doesn't say outweigh lust. You know, Chaitanya Chandru, brilliant English person, spiritual scientist, he says, don't outweigh lust, outweight lust. You just keep it at bay. Let it keep coming. There's a pastime in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes that he says, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has an associate named Haridas Thakur. And Haridas Thakur was chanting his japa, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And this lady who has come by the king to attract him and to make him fall down into sense gratification, comes to try to attract him. And then he just says, wait. Let me finish my japa. Let me finish my japa. Hare Krishna. And then he just keeps doing japa his whole night. And then the lady's like, okay, I'll just come back tomorrow. And then the next day he comes, and she comes, she's like, can you let me enjoy now? And then he says, I still have not finished my japa. I promise I'll get to you. I promise I'll get to you. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. And like this, so on and so forth. She just sat there next to Haridas Thakur and just chanted, heard his chanting. And then naturally she's like, maybe I should also start chanting. And then so naturally even the person who came to attract him, if you just let it at bay, just keep waiting, then these things will leave. Rupa Goswami says in his fundamental book, Upadesh Amrita. Upadesh means instruction. Amrita means nectar. Nectar of instruction. Upadesh Amrita. Rupa Goswami gives a nice verse. Vacho vegam manasakrodha vegam jihva vegam udarapasta vegam etan vegam yo vishaheta dhira sarvam apimam pritivim sasisyat. We all have this question, who is Guru? Who is a actual Guru? We may have our family Guru, we have this, but what are the qualifications of Guru? Rupa Goswami says this. And one of the qualities of Guru, you can read all the 6 qualities in the Nectar of Instruction, but one of the main qualities is that one who resists the mind's urges It is not, Rupa Goswami very interestingly says, one who doesn't have the urge. It is saying that, okay, you have the urge, but are you able to resist the urge? This is what Rupa Goswami says. So, as we go through this section of lust, it is very important to always remember that Prabhupada's using this word, maitunya agara, the shackles of sex life. By trying to enjoy more and more, we're actually shackling ourselves more and more. We think that there's this common dichotomy of restriction and freedom. If I'm restricting myself, I don't have freedom. Right? Many people think that. But actually this is a falsehood. Like for example, if I don't want to be restricted, I want to be complete freedom, and I'm driving on the road and then I see a stoplight, I'm like, I don't want to be restricted. I just want to go, and why do I have to follow these stoplights? So I just ignore the restrictions and I just keep going. When there's a red, I keep going. What will happen? Accident. I'll get in a crash. But if I follow these restrictions, will I get to my place of destination? Yes. So same way, if we follow these restrictions, it is not a restriction of just to make our lives miserable. Krishna is not trying to make your life miserable. He actually wants you to have a happy life. But because he is Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. His body is made of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. And so we are parts of Krishna. We are parts of Krishna. So we also must be in Ananda. But we are looking for happiness in the wrong places. Wrong places. So that is text 39. Anybody have any comments, reflections, thoughts, just to keep the conversation flowing? Anybody else? Yes, Rani.
Maharaj Thakur was able to resist the prostitute because he had a higher taste.
Higher taste.
If you have a higher taste, you can automatically give up. Like Yamunacharya also says, I'm experiencing so much newer and newer taste in bhakti that whenever I think of sex, I will spit at them. It's like, somebody eating a stool or somebody eating their own vomit. How disgusting is that? That's what he would feel when he thinks about lower grade sense gratification.
Yeah.
How much enjoyment he's feeling in Krishna.
Yeah. It's just a matter of it's just a matter of taste. What do you have taste for? Do you have taste for Krishna or do you have taste for matter? And once you actually taste a little bit of Krishna, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Ek bar Radha Madhav naam bolo re. He says, just taste the names of Radha Madhav once. Just once. He doesn't say multiple times. Just taste it once, and then you won't actually feel the hankerings of material life anymore. So it's so amazing, this quality. Anybody else have anything? Srila Prabhupada?
How did you get higher taste?
How did I get higher taste? From you.
Seriously.
You just, if you follow the practices that Krishna outlines in the Gita and the Bhagavatam, you question yourself, why was I in this anyway? what was life before that? Hare Krishna, Narottam Prabhu, Hare Krishna. So we have this natural thing. We'll get this taste by doing the process. Like an experiment, you can have practical, theoretical understanding of the experiment. Like, okay, chanting is good, I'll get a higher taste. But unless you actually do the experiment yourself, you won't actually taste what you're getting. It's the same way, like if the proof is in the pudding, you have to taste it, So try, make that experiment. Some people try the chanting. They judge the process before they even try it. Make one of Srila Prabhupada's disciples. He used to say that, prove me wrong. Just try it sincerely, and see how it changes in your life. So let's move on to text 40. That's how we go, right? We just go one verse at a time. We'll make these ones quicker. Indriyani mano buddhi asyadhishthana muchyate eter vimohatya esha jnanam avritya dehina. Translation: the senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. Purport: the enemy has captured different strategic positions in the body of the conditioned soul, and therefore Lord Krishna is giving hints of those places, so that one who wants to conquer the enemy may know where he can be found. Mind is the center of all the activities of the senses, and thus when we hear about sense objects, the mind generally becomes a reservoir of all ideas of sense gratification. And as a result, the mind and the senses become the repositories of lust. Next, the intelligence department becomes the capital of such lustful propensities. Intelligence is the immediate next-door neighbor of the spirit soul. Lest the intelligence influences the spirit soul to acquire the false ego and identify itself with matter. And thus, with the mind and senses, the spirit soul becomes addicted to enjoying the material senses and mistakes this as true happiness. This false identification of the Supreme Soul is very nice explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10:84-13. Yasyatma buddhi kunape dhatuke swadik kalatrad subhoma ijjati yattirtha buddhi salinena karhisej jane su abhigye susaeva kokara. A human being who identifies his body made of three elements with his self, who considers the byproducts of the body to be his kinsmen, who considers the land of birth worshipable, and who goes to the place of pilgrimage simply to take a bath rather than meet men of transcendental knowledge, there is to be considered like an ass or a cow. Moo. So, Krishna is revealing to us very mercifully, where do we find, we want to, if we have, Krishna is establishing that the eternal enemy, we have an enemy in this world, an eternal enemy. Now, if you're fighting a war, it's good to know where your enemy is, right? If there's a movie called Alice in Wonderland, and in Alice in Wonderland, there was the main guy, and then Alice goes up to him and says, where do you want to go? And Alice says, I don't know. And then the person says, if you don't know where you want to go, any road will take you there. So same way, if we don't know where we want to go and what we want to attack, what we want to fight for, then we can fight anything in this world. So Krishna is actually saying, where do where does this greatest enemy of ours stay? He says, where do they stay? Anybody remember? Senses, mind, and intelligence. The mind is so powerful that it controls even the senses. The mind is actually one of the, Krishna says, Arjuna says, it's more easier to control the winds, Vayur iva saduskaram, than to control the mind. There's a verse that maybe Maji you can pull up in the Bhagavatam, Samsara Chakra, 11:23-42. Maybe someone can read this out loud. Yeah, 11:23-42. Oh. Someone can read the translation in a big loud voice.
The Brahmana said, these people are not the cause of my happiness and distress. Neither are the demigods, my own body, the planets, my past work or time. Rather, it is the mind alone that causes happiness and distress and perpetuates the relation of material.
So we have a way of blame. This is blame mentality, victim mentality. It's I live in New York, and then we had this new person come, and then I said, "Oh, there's some service to do, Prabhu," and he's like, "I can't do it. Mercury's in retrograde. The planets aren't right now to go and do service." And then someone may say, "Oh, it's the demigods, my body is this and that." We try to blame everybody else except taking personal responsibility of our own lives. So same way, this verse is saying, this is Avanti Brahmana, I believe. Avanti Brahmana is saying, is that nobody else to blame. Only my mind is causing me these problems. So that's how powerful the mind is. And then what to speak of the mind, then we have the intelligence. The intelligence starts to fall into this trap and starts to think I am actually these things, and they fall into so many different categories that are so unnatural to us, so unnatural to being a pure loving soul. We start saying, I am Indian, you are Pakistani, I hate you. You are American, I am Russian, I hate you. And then so we get to these identifications that I am American, I am this, I am that, but we just understand that we're just putting ourselves into a miserable body. What if in the next life you're born in Pakistan? What if you're born in Russia? Then you would hate this country naturally. And in that verse that Srila Prabhupada is quoting, Yasyatma buddhi kunapetu dadike, by identification with these various isms, that nationalism, politicalism, all these things, you start to become no different than a cow or a donkey. It's a hard statement. It's a hard pill to swallow. I know it's a family show. It's Thursday night. I don't mean to heavy you out, but if we start thinking about these things on a practical level, then actually we see our each other as kind of like brothers and sisters. Pandita Samadarshina, Krishna says. If I don't say that I am different from you, then I see, no matter if somebody's Indian, black, white, gay, straight, fat, skinny, I see this person as a soul. And if I see this person as a soul, then I can relate with him on the most natural level for us, which is on the soul platform. Does that make sense? It's easy to understand, but it's good to always remind ourselves that we're souls. Yes, go ahead.
So why did God make us so different if He wanted us to be the same?
Why did God make us so different? Of
He
course.
wanted us to be the souls, right? See, the thing is, to your point, only God can see our souls. We cannot see other people's souls.
Yeah.
He can. I can see my skin color. I can see your skin color.
Yeah.
Forget the mentality part. That comes later. But why did He do that? And I always tell people in this forum that we're doomed because God made us, the material world. I check a lot of questions, but I'll answer that question first, and then I'll come back to the rest.
Yeah. Why did Krishna make us, if we're supposed to be souls, why did Krishna make us look so different? You have hair, I have no hair, I am Indian. Why do we make so much identifications? You can understand this world is not, this world is considered perfectly imperfect. It is meant to show that we have souls. Like you may say, some people say there is no God because this world is not perfect. If this is God's creation, it must be perfect, right? Fair reasoning. Now we don't consider the fact that God may have intended for this place to be imperfect. I'll give you an example. Just how a jail warden, like people go to jail. Right? People go to jail to get reformed into society, and once they get reformed, they're let out of the jail. Most like that's how jail is supposed to work. So same way, this material world is described as a prison house where people are supposed to get reformed into their consciousness, and then they will be readmitted back into Krishna's plane. So same way, why do we have these bodies? Why do we have difference? It's because we wanted this kind of tendency inside us to be different.
The souls wanted that.
Yes.
But you notice you just said yourself, right? The prison system failed. So when you think about this real spiritual world, it's failing. And that's why we have Kali Yuga, right?
Yeah. It's like a failed prison system.
And
So
is this world.
So
is this world. It's a failing system.
Yeah, it's a failing system. It's a perfectly failing system. Ishavasya idam sarvam yadkincham jagatyam jagat tyena tyaktena bunjita magruda kasya sviddhanam. I meant to say Om Purnam Adha Purnam Eva Vishishyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnam Eva Vishishyate. This world is perfectly complete, and all emanations from the perfectly complete whole are perfectly complete in themselves. So this world is perfectly complete, but it is incomplete in our trying to enjoy this material world. Krishna, nobody will ever be satisfied if they just live in this world. You will never get full enjoyment. Prem Srila, do you have anything to say about this?
But why we are all different? Because we have different desires to enjoy. So Krishna created different kinds of bodies to suit our desires. So there are 8,400,000 species of life. And according to the soul's desire to enjoy, he gets different kinds of bodies. According to karma and one's desires.
Also, we have a specific position in the spiritual world, and there is variety there.
Yeah.
Not everybody looks alike. Some are gopas, gopis, cows, peacocks. Everybody is there to give pleasure to Krishna, and Krishna likes variety. The spirit soul itself.
Pleasure for us because we had this design. She said pleasure to Krishna. I thought we are different because we had desires to be different. So it's not to pleasure Krishna, it's to pleasure the souls that we have. Yeah. That's what I would challenge.
We have prasadam after this.
You
The spirit soul is meant for Krishna's enjoyment, but we are trying to enjoy separate. So we got this material body, but I'm talking about spiritual body also. We are not alike in terms of spiritual body also. We have our own spiritual position in the spiritual world where everybody is different. and they offer different services to Krishna.
Yeah. Everybody remains an individual.
Yeah.
What is that verse? Like, Sutre mana gana iva. He says Krishna is like, I am running through pearls on a thread. And if you look at a pearl necklace, naturally a pearl is made, a natural pearl is very precious. And no pearl will never ever be the same. So same way, even as souls, no soul will ever be the same. So if we're serving Krishna eternally, our service will be different. Will naturally be different. Because individuality is like that. Krishna's an individual as well. So I'll just get back to, we're talking about where lust sits. Intelligence, mind, and senses. If we look at intelligence, nowadays people say, without intelligence say so many different things. They have many, it's called speculation. Srila Prabhupada calls it speculation. It means without intelligence, thinking about something. Now, in a common example that I give is that there's something in the material world called toxic inhibitions. Toxic disinhibitions. Anybody heard of this? Toxic. So basically on the internet, people can say, in the internet, I have much more confidence to say something very nasty about you versus me saying it right to your face. Have you seen that? People on the internet, they may say so many bad things, but if I come up to you and if I say that face to face, I wouldn't be able to. So same way, intelligence is lost like this because we make ourselves impersonal. We're just a page on Facebook rather than a personality with feelings. So intelligence is also lost. Now Krishna is going to give us a solution in the next verse. He's a very nice person. So he'll give you the solution about he tells you what is the description of this lust. Now he gives you the solution for this lust. 41. Okay. Tasmat tvam indriyanyado niyamya bharatarshava atmanam prajahiyenam jnana vijnana nashanam. Therefore, we're on 41, right? Therefore, O Arjuna, best of the Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the senses, and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. Purport. The Lord advised Arjuna to regulate the senses from the very beginning so that he can curb the greatest sinful enemy, lust, which destroys the urge for self-realization and specific knowledge of the self. Jnana refers to knowledge of self as distinguished from non-self, or in other words, knowledge that the spirit soul is not the body. Vijnana refers to specific knowledge of the spirit soul's constitutional position and the relationship to the supreme soul. It is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Jnanam parama guhyam me yad vijnana samanvitam sa rahasyam tad angam cha grahana gadidam maya. The knowledge of the self and the supreme self is very confidential and mysterious, but such knowledge and specific realization can be understood if explained with their various aspects by the Lord Himself. Bhagavad Gita gives us that general and specific knowledge of the self. The living entities are parts and parcels of the Lord, and therefore they're simply meant to serve the Lord. This consciousness is called Krishna consciousness. So from the very beginning of life, one has to learn this Krishna consciousness, and thereby one may become fully Krishna conscious and act accordingly. Lust is only the perverted reflection of the love of God, which is natural for every living entity. But if one is educated in Krishna consciousness from the very beginning, that natural love of God cannot deteriorate into lust. When love of God deteriorates into lust, it is very difficult to return to the normal condition. Nonetheless, Krishna consciousness is so powerful that even a late beginner can become a lover of God by following the regular principles of devotional service. So from any stage of life, or from the time of understanding its urgency, one can begin regulating the senses and Krishna consciousness, devotional service of the Lord, and turn the lust into love of Godhead, the highest perfectional stage of human life. So it's explained here that in the beginning, before this even starts, like they say like marijuana may be a gateway drug, so it may lead to other hardcore drugs. So same way, best to not even start. Best to when you're very young, or when you're and here's the take-home message of the night: you're not getting any younger. None of you are getting any younger. So when we're in the youth of life, if we control this tendency to try to lord it over the material nature, then actually we'll have a much easier time in spiritual life. There may be many, I can sit up here and give you many solutions to conquer this lust. Like for one example is studying Shastra, studying the Gita is very important. It gives you intelligence. And I could also tell you to be in Sattva Gun. You know, Sattva Gun, there's 3 gunas, there's Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, goodness, passion, ignorance. And if you stay in the mode of goodness, the influences of passion, ignorance, which lust come from, they're triggered. Lust is triggered from passion, ignorance. They're not so affected. I also staying always the association of the devotees is very important. But when you count the brass tacks, when you get down to the nitty gritty, you need to develop some love for Krishna, and that's what Srila Prabhupada is saying in this purport. Is that when you start to develop love, genuine love for Krishna, that actually there's no substitute for that. No matter if it's just a little love for Krishna, then that actually brings about that Krishna actually. I'll give you a spoiler alert. Krishna says in the last verse of this chapter, thus knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind, intelligence, O mighty armed Arjuna, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, Krishna consciousness, and thus by spiritual strength conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. So by developing a love for Krishna, that is the ultimate consciousness, that is Krishna consciousness. So when we develop that Krishna consciousness, then actually this lust goes away. And I'll just narrate a pastime just to illustrate that. There's one time a person named Bilva Mangal Thakur. And this person was very, very engrossed by lust. So much so that he used to go to a lady to gratify his sense, a prostitute. And one time, it was raining so hard. And this prostitute thought, oh, he will not come today. And Bilva Mangal fought through the rain and came through. And he saw that the door was locked. And then he saw a rope. And he said, okay, let me climb this rope and get to enjoying my senses. He climbed this rope, and then he finds out that rope is actually a snake. He climbed up a snake. And so then he goes, and the prostitute's name is Chintamani. And he says, Chintamani, I'm here to enjoy you. And Chintamani is like, what? How did you get here? So much rain, so much treacherousness. You climbed up a snake, that wasn't a rope. And Chintamani basically says, because you have, if you just put the efforts that you into to enjoying your senses, if you put that same effort into controlling Krishna, you go into trying to serve Krishna, you actually go back to God, go back to God. And Bilva Mangal Thakur just thought, wow, this is so amazing. I should just do that. So much so, and Chintamani, and he accepts actually this prostitute. He accepts Chintamani as his guru for accepting him, for showing him the way. And Bilva Mangal Thakur leaves everything and starts walking, and he starts walking to Vrindavan, where Krishna's from. Then he gets to, on the way, he sees one Brahmana, and he naturally, and somehow or another, he slips up, and he starts looking at the Brahmana's wife, and he starts trying to enjoy, and he understands the tendency to enjoy, and basically says these eyes are, I'm not prescribing this, there's descriptive and there's prescriptive, this is a descriptive. So Bilva Mangal Thakur just takes a pin and blinds himself, basically, because I don't want to see any, I don't want to be attracted by this mature nature anymore. Then he goes to Vrindavan, and basically he does his chanting there, and he attains Krishna. So much so that Krishna he's chanting his rounds, and this person comes up to him and offers him milk, and so and tries to take care of him, and Krishna is just running around him, and he's completely in Krishna consciousness. So the story shows that even if somebody, as Prabhupada is saying, is starting late in their life, Bilvamangal Thakur was not young, he was much older, and if somebody tries that general, it's called lolium, has that greed for trying to get over this eternal enemy, then actually they'll be successful. And by following these processes of developing a genuine love for Krishna. And how do you develop a genuine love for Krishna? There's many processes. Come to the temple on Thursdays, you get the association of devotees, chant Hare Krishna, read about Krishna. And by that, there's actually a genuine process on how to get love for Krishna. It's not something hairy-fairy up in the air. There's actually a genuine process. So, does anybody have any comments or thoughts on that?
So he expects us to torture ourselves in order to love him. So this guy, because he has all this. So back to my earlier point, you come with zero, you see this material world. Now you want to go to Krishna, you say, close my eyes, close my ears. I don't want to see the material world. You must well be a sannyasi, but Gita also says this. You don't have to be a sannyasi. I know that I'm giving you extreme examples, but isn't that harsh? Is that way to Godhead? Is that what we're saying? That some certain people have to go through a very, very difficult, punish themselves. And then there's another thing. Some people they whip themselves, some people carry kavadi, sacrifice themselves for God. That's what this guy just did. He sacrificed eyes for that. Is that the right thing to do? I think in the book scriptures it says that we should not do that. Bodily harm is not expected.
That's why I mentioned it's descriptive, not prescriptive.
That's a bad example for Krishna consciousness, in my opinion. No, seriously, if you're writing the books and you say this is one of the things that I did, you should criticize that, not encourage it.
No, you can appreciate someone's genuine devotion in his attempt for devotion. No matter what he does, he attained Krishna. So we can have a genuine appreciation. But nowhere in this pastime does Bilva Mangal Thakur says, follow me, this is the way to do it, blind your eyes. No, I said this is descriptive.
Example, I
Can I
guess.
say something?
Yes, go ahead.
So I'm going to disagree with you.
Go ahead.
Because he clearly gave a disclaimer. So you know what I'm saying?
Why would you produce this example in this context?
No, but he gave a disclaimer.
No, but why? Why do we bring it here? Because here we are trying to learn the spiritual way and how to get that.
It's just it's an interesting story. You're taking it so seriously. Like people, they talk, they give examples. Like that's just a very interesting, fascinating story. And he clearly gave a disclaimer. He took time. He actually took a pause and he specifically said this: if you get so serious about every word you say, you know what I mean?
So let me explain why. Because when I come here,
Yeah.
everybody follows the word to the letter.
Yeah.
And that's why I totally appreciate what you said.
Yeah.
I think that's how we should do it. That's why I asked this question. But a lot of times, we can
I agree with that. But I'm just saying this example, I disagree with you.
Fair enough.
This specific example, he clearly gave a disclaimer before he was went into it. And now you're like, and you may be right, but I don't think that's going to help your argument going after this story. So that's all I'll say.
No worries. Thank you.
Krishna. Is there any other thoughts on this?
So what would be the prescriptive way of controlling our senses, like the eyes? Would be to see the beautiful form of the Lord and see the devotees come to the temple.
Yeah.
Engage your senses in a positive way in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah. There's always a way to make whatever you're going through, to dovetail that into Krishna consciousness. Like there's a verse by Ambarish Maharaj in the 9th canto that says that when I come to the temple, I smell the incense of Krishna. I see the form of Krishna. I use my feet to walk to the temple of Krishna. So anything that you do can become a meditation that can purify oneself. So that's one way of doing that. Anybody have any other last points, or we can do some kirtan of Krishna, hearing.
There's a nice verse about
Yeah.
how Rukmini became attached to Krishna.
Ah.
Rukmini was one of the queens of Krishna. She had never seen Krishna, but and she was going to be married to somebody else, his father, her father and brother. And a lot of devotees used to come to. She was a queen in Dwarka. So a lot of devotees used to come and describe the activities of Krishna, the form of Krishna, Narad Muni and others. So she heard like that, and she got a desire to be with this person. So by hearing about Krishna, and our love will, as you were saying, Bhagavad Gita.
I was also remembering one pastime where Prabhupada was coming and everybody was bowing down to him. So one of his disciples said, "Why is everybody bowing down to me?" And Prabhupada said, "Because I've conquered lust." And then he said, "No, it's not like I don't have lust, I don't have time for lust. It's like you should not have any free time that Maya can capture. You have to engage yourself in services to Krishna all the time, absorb your mind, because empty mind is devil's workshop and so many ideas can come to your mind. So you have to absorb your mind in positive, constructive services and reading about Krishna, hearing about Krishna."
Yeah, keeping yourself busy in Krishna service. Okay. Hare Krishna, Om Tat Sat. Should we do some kirtan?
Yes.
Till maybe like 10 minutes? Narottam Prabhu, would you like to do some kirtan?
Later on.
Okay, fine. I got my drum. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna mantra ki, Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanande.